It's like the game has an existential. I know how to use the word, but I don't know how to pronounce it.
Existential?
It's like it has an awareness. Yes.
Ah, maybe it does.
Who
It's
knows?
sensing you right now.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's how I felt when I was playing the Magic Kingdom earlier. It's like it was testing me, and then I would finally say, "No, I'm gonna do this a certain way," and then the game would just like get whipped. It's like probing my skill level, my will to complete the game, and I was like, "No, no, you don't understand."
Probing. Intimate. My goodness.
Oh,
I want to leave you alone with that game for a little while then.
no, no, no.
Ooh, I saw exclamation points. They were surprised by that
Yep.
information.
So I don't know how this guy came to be Roger Bacon. Like, she explained the guy who Roger Bacon was before, but where
Yes.
does this transformation come from?
It happens in Star Wars Episode 3.
Yeah,
Yes, there you go.
it's funny because I felt like that too. This is a very intentionally. Oh, this is the real Roger. Apparently, Roger Bacon.
Well,
He sounds like a lady though. He might just be really old and have a dry, croaky voice.
yes, probably got sick. You know, after you get sick sometimes, you sound like a girl.
Oh, okay. Apparently we're going into the last dungeon before the endgame dungeon,
Oh, yes.
which means after this, it's going to be side quests. I thought it was side quests before, but I was
You were
mistaken.
woefully wrong and should be ashamed. Very ashamed. No, just kidding.
The only thing I'm ashamed of is some of the things I've done in my life. If I had a cleaner record, like, I would run for politics. I would become a scientist. But because some of the situations in my life, I have to do all that, any of those kinds of things on my own. I can't become a politician. I've got to be a citizen activist. I can't become a scientist. I have to be an enthusiast. I don't have access to the things that would make me a great scientist. I want to work on a teleporter, for fuck's sake. We already have the ability to teleport molecules. Let's up that a few stages. Let's move
Yeah.
a few molecules at a time. I'm willing to try that. If we can get to a few molecules, let's try a single-celled organism. And once we get that down, we can move up to bigger things. It's like these sciences are just sitting here waiting for someone to give them the attention they deserve.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and funding. I bet you that research is happening. It's just not funded all that well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then I don't know how much you know about our military doing things. Did we talked about the military cyborgs, right?
Yeah,
DARPA? Yeah.
yeah.
Did we talk about the Air Force's unmanned spaceship that has been orbiting the planet? I don't remember what it's called anymore or how long it's been up there. But apparently they've had a few unmanned craft orbiting Earth.
It's not surprising since we've had all those UFO kind of things going on. Sounds like those UFOs are probably our ships.
I don't
Makes
know
sense.
that. I don't know what's going on. I would sooner assume that we've been conquered by an alien race, subvertly.
With the way things have gone, yeah, I would almost agree with you on that
Because
one.
of the technological breakthroughs, but the societal standards being held back to a very specific standard that doesn't seem to reflect the people's will.
It doesn't encourage growth either.
No. We've got all this technological growth, but there's no cultural expansion. It's almost as if our culture has been,
Hijacked?
yeah, like it's turned into another species culture.
Right. Well, it seems like a culture of slavery because you figure our technological advancements, if you notice, are internet, which is kind of like TV, television broadcasts, phones,
Yeah.
iPads, all stuff that you can watch and will program, quote unquote. I'm making some air quotes for you guys. And that'll just sit there and program your brain.
Yep.
Nothing that will enhance your brain, really.
Well, you can choose to use it to enhance your brain.
Yeah, you could, if you're smart enough to choose.
But most people don't know that they have that option because
Right.
they haven't been exposed to technology in just the right way. Like I did going to school. I could use it to work on projects that I didn't even fucking care about when they were teaching us how to use, was it Word? There was a couple of art programs as well that they did.
Mhm. Yeah.
I didn't like it, but it gave me a valuable skill, and that's learning how to use software.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Learning how to use software equals win.
Well, and learning how to learn is also something they're not teaching anymore.
No.
So,
And they want everyone to learn the same exact way, which is another thing that's suspicious. And then, here's another problem that I have with Republicans. Why do they want to stop funding the Department of Education? Why do they want to teach only creationism in schools? Why is it creationism? Why can't people have the choice? Why can't you learn both of them and decide for yourself? Like, there's so many questions that our current system makes us pose, but there's no one there to answer them.
yeah. Well, and I don't know if it's Republicans in general. I think for the school thing, I don't know if they just want creationism. They are fighting against the other side, which is saying we only want to teach the theory of evolution.
See, I don't agree with that either.
Yeah, it's the middle ground of, I would love, because there's a lot of parts of evolution that are definitely, I mean, dog breeding is evolution.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of proven parts of that theory.
Mm-hmm.
So great, let's teach that. And either you're going to keep all religion out of it, because they don't, unfortunately.
No,
They
I
will
learned
teach-
about like all the major religions in school.
Yeah,
and I think
in
that
school.
was the right thing to do. I also learned a lot about science, but what I didn't learn was the culture that goes with that. The culture and the philosophies. Like, it's all
Yeah.
fine and good that these people believed in a pantheon of gods, but what does that mean? Why did they do that?
Yeah. Well, and they won't. I don't think they'll ever teach that stuff, because that's more of a, college level. You can go that. You can do that. You can do comparative religions and get into that. But I don't think they'll.
See, I think that
teach
should
it.
be taught at the high school level, because kids are learning so much faster. Your daughter will learn faster than I learned, and I learned faster than you learned. Like,
Right.
the cycle is just going to keep. It's gaining exponentially. Like,
Yeah.
it's gaining to like the third power every generation, and that's even with all these setbacks and all these stupid moves that people have made,
Yeah.
affecting
Yeah.
things. I think it's like crazy. So we're gonna have all this intelligence. We're not gonna be able to interact, and we're not gonna be able to do anything for the greater good. I honestly believe that if anything is going on right now, we've been conquered by another species.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. The human race, if they get together in one voice, they can do a lot of good or a lot of evil. So something's dividing us at this point.
And
I
I
don't
don't
know why.
think it's us. Because we got together enough to decide that we wanted to have world wars.
That's true. We did figure out that we had two sides to fight each other with. Well, and three sides in the World War II situation.
And we also decided that it was a good thing that we ended it. Nobody wanted that war to go on forever.
No, well, unfortunately, we used Einstein's great discovery of splitting the atom to use it for bombs.
To control people.
Yeah, and we kind of had to at that point, or else everything would have been destroyed. But God, what a horrible solution! Even Einstein was like, "Oh my God, I think his quote is, 'I have become death, destroyer of worlds.'"
I am become death, destroyer of worlds.
Yeah.
He used a very particular...
Yeah.
And the only reason I know that, Civilization 5. It quotes it when you reach that technology.
Yeah. It's a dangerous, hard technology for good and evil.
Yeah. Well, why haven't we made a nuclear reactor yet? That's another question that I have. Like, we have all these advancements in very particular sciences, but we've ignored a lot of very important things that would affect
Well, what kind of specific reactor? Because we have power plants, and all of our submarine fleet is
Cold
powered by
fusion,
nuclear.
fission,
Oh, a cold fusion reactor.
all of the high end stuff. I know we're using the basics, but
Yeah, they're working on cold fusion. It's slow going though because again, funding for those kinds of things doesn't happen as much as funding for everything else that's not really important. Like I don't know, internet. I don't know the stuff that they're doing. They're throwing the money at.
fighting the internet is something that Republicans are doing. Yes, I know. I talk about the Republicans constantly, but it's because Democrats aren't doing anything to attack the average citizen.
Are you sure?
Not that I know of.
Look up Anita Sarkeesian. She attacks gamers, and she's not even a gamer. She's a feminist activist that
Well,
wants
yeah,
to shut
she's
down all
attacking us
gaming.
because she thinks that gaming is a male-fed industry, and well, the fact is that it is. It was
that wrong?
targeted to males in the beginning. No, it's not wrong, because there
So why
are
is she attacking it?
female-targeted industries. The makeup industry, men don't go after that.
Yeah, the whole counseling industry is 88% female. Nobody attacks that
No,
because it's female.
women need
But if
more counseling than men, because they have more complex social issues to deal with.
I doubt it.
Periods?
That's not a more complex social issue. How about the suicide rate for males is 98% greater for males than it is females.
What?
The thing is, I mean, yet we're all talking about sides of Democrat Republican, it's not Democrats Republicans that we disagree with. It's people with a certain kind of mentality, and it doesn't. They're in both areas.
Yeah.
They really are. I mean, that's why I don't do the Democrat Republican thing because that's irrelevant. It's the certain kind of people with a certain kind of agenda and a certain kind of thought process.
I'm not against Republican voters. I'm against the setup of the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
So that's a certain kind of thought process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm fine with the Republican Party. I want there to be a two-party system in this country. That's how it works. But
Yeah.
if one party is saying no and not doing anything, then the whole government falls apart. And the more guilty party is the Republicans. I hate to say that because I know that both sides have faults. And it all starts with that us, the people, don't care enough to get out there, talk to the people that are getting voted into offices, and tell them what we want.
Yeah. I still think the narrative that is created by our media and our social media stuff makes it look like one party is more at fault than the other.
Which I've thought about it before, and that goes back into me saying politics is an act. It honestly looks like a show that's being put on, so we don't look at the right hand because we're busy with the left hand trying to figure out what the fuck they're doing.
And I think you're more accurate on that because I think it's a show. I think it's a show to make us concentrate on one party and say those are the bad guys and these are the good guys when they're both equally bad and good because there's a variation of people that make up each party.
Yep.
But some are really on one end, and some are really on the other end, and some are moderate. And you just get confused and stuck in this, let's fight with each other, let's vilify the other person, and then you don't actually do what you and I are talking about is talking about the issues. So as long as vilify and blame and cast doubt, those kinds of things, those lovely endeavors, we don't do anything productive, which sucks.
And the reason I say these things is, again, I'm not trying to attack the party. I want them to talk to me about this. You say words, I say words. We work it out. But
I don't think they're going to do that for a while because the voices that are most prevalent right now are the voices of people going, "You're bad, you're wrong, you're bad, you're wrong," and they do it both sides equally towards one another. We may not hear about it on TV, but look at Facebook.
Yep.
That's probably the best gauge of people's actual opinions about each other, and it's horrible. They're both. It's ridiculous what we call each other because we have anonymity on Facebook,
Oh,
sort of,
well.
or YouTube, or Twitch.
And that whole thing, us talking about both sides of the government playing this game,
Yeah.
what does that say? What's the bigger picture that the people of this planet aren't getting because governments are playing this dangerous game with all of our lives?
That's a good question. I don't know what the greater truth is. I mean, they're keeping us confused for some reason, and we're submitting ourselves to that confusion.
Yeah. Well, I'm not helping by antagonizing. I'm not trying to antagonize, but it's going to be received as such.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not constructive.
Right, right.
I want it to be.
Well, I think, yeah. The thing is, I mean, you're frustrated with the process. I'm frustrated with the process, and if we talk through that lens of frustration, rather than just saying, I'm frustrated with the process, and yet here's what I really mean. It's having that both and idea of, okay, really identifying the frustration and expressing it, and then having an intelligent conversation about your actual issues. I think that's the important part for everybody to learn is, this whole process is hard, it's frustrating, it's a pain in the ass, and yet you got to move through that and then get to the issues.
Yep. Well, and part of that, we're doing part of that process as single individual people, but it doesn't help when our parties aren't doing that. When the people who matter won't sit down at the same table and even look at each other. Did you know that the Senate Republicans and the Senate Democrats used to have a luncheon? They used to play golf games together.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Back in the day.
They won't even talk to each other.
Nope.
On the court, their home field. Like,
well, people won't vote for them based on a Facebook post of, look at this person, they're too liberal. Look at this person, they're too bigoted. And then people won't vote because they've expressed their opinion about something. That just shuts everybody down. It's just a ridiculous system. Rather than, okay, this person has an opinion. It's their opinion. It's movable. It doesn't mean they're going to kill the whole universe. But they have an opinion, and it's different than yours. Oh my God, darn.
Yeah.
It's a human thing. Great, let's talk about it. I don't know, it's really difficult. Really difficult.
I don't like thinking about it normally, but as I've been trying to be more active with Twitter in particular, I see it. Like,
and it's better to talk about this stuff. If right now we're in a place where everybody's repressing what they're really believing about, and repressing feelings, at least in the individual system, creates anxiety, it creates aggression. It's not a good thing to repress stuff, at least in the individual. So if a whole government is doing it, we're screwed, because in about 15, 20 years, maybe less, there's going to be an explosion of nastiness going on, because everybody's going to say, fuck this, I'm done with repressing it, and I'm going to start shooting. Either on the internet or actual guns.
and that, again, I don't think that's the answer.
Oh, no, it's not.
We have this complex system, and it's broken down before. Rome is my first and best example. Because people got corrupt, and everybody stopped caring about the system that they believed in at one point.
Yeah, that's true.
There are a lot of people I talk to. Stefan is an example, and no offense to him if he watches this. I don't agree with your lack of political involvement. He's like, he wanted a Canadian prime minister that was going to legalize weed, but he wouldn't get out there and vote for him. It's like this political issue is a very important part of your life, and you're just like, other people are going to solve this problem for me.
Well, I think it's hard to fight against, because it's even in America too, especially among our youth now, that the importance of the one vote kind of deal, that people don't feel that their one vote has any effect on the greater scheme of things. So then that leads to I'm just not going to do it because it doesn't matter. So that's that whole idea. But it does, in the grander scheme of things, if you because if you contribute and the other person next to you contributes and the other people that next to them do, then you have a unified kind of effect. But yeah, it's that really that feeling of not having an effect. It can really, paralyze a whole government.
That's something that I've also linked back into the political bullshit that is the show of politics. Is it looks like it's designed to decrease voter turnout.
Probably is. The fewer people making the decision, the easier it is to control the decision. Yeah, it's that whole too many cooks in the kitchen. If you kill all the other cooks, then you get to control the recipe and what goes into the meal you're creating.
But that's the thing about democracy. If there aren't enough litigants, I don't want to say litigants, I don't want to say voters. If there aren't enough people involved in the system, it will go down like Rome did. We'll just build another democracy in the blood of the fallen. And I hate that idea. I hate it with a fervent passion.
Yeah.
The system works. Why tear it down? Get involved in it again, for fuck's sake. You don't have to go to war over it.
Well, that whole bringing down the system may be the underlying intention of what's going on by whatever force is behind. Because I'm pretty convinced that, like, every president that we've ever had, they walk into that Oval Office on their first day, and then some person in a black suit that came in with a black helicopter of some sort hands them the book of what really controls the country, and then they are enslaved to that. It's kind of conspiracy theory, but I think that's what happens.
It's a conspiracy theory, but the thing is, there's something going on, and we don't know. All we can do is guess, or get our head in too deep, and all of a sudden we're dead.
Yeah, you get too close to the problem, and then boop. Yeah, that's the weird thing. There is something pulling the strings, and it's not necessarily us.
And it's been going on probably since... are you familiar with the UFO incident where Washington got buzzed? They had a flyby?
I don't think so.
I believe that was during Roosevelt's term. A UFO went right by the White House.
Huh. Wow. And they didn't have any pictures back then that were easily accessible.
They did. They actually scrambled fighter jets that couldn't keep up with it.
Oh.
Like,
Pre-supersonic flight kind of deal. Damn.
I believe they were just shy of supersonic, or they were like the first supersonic jets, but they just... None of from all of the reports I have witnessed, of course through TV and dramatization, but these reports actually exist, none of our craft can keep up with these foreign craft. And I've thought about that too, and it's like you said, maybe UFOs are our own craft, and it's like black budget stuff.
Well, it may... The UFO thing, there's also the idea that maybe there are our own Earthcraft from future time visiting the past. Because, I mean, that time travel, while I hope they're not doing it because they're going to screw with history, and we'd never know about it, because you would rewrite it and you would rewrite all memory of it. It's kind of like Doctor Who, the paradox problem. But yeah, I mean, there could be not aliens, but visitors from our future coming back to check in or something, or just say hi, or take a picture of the White House when Roosevelt was around.
Who knows? And that's a very serious problem, because there are theories that come from the same people who talk about these incidents that they're coming back from the future because our genetics are all screwed up, and that created the Greys or some of these other aliens. We could go on and on about these theories, but again, there's something going on and we don't know about it. We've talked about this 2 or 3 times in this series, if I remember correctly. And it's very frustrating to be a human in this era, because if you have any sense at all to you, something's fishy.
Yeah.
And they're trying to occupy our minds so we don't look.
Oh, definitely. Well, and as long as you're aware of the Matrix, you might be able to manipulate the Matrix, at least in your own sphere of influence. I think that's the important part, is change doesn't. You can get overwhelmed if you try to make change on a large scale, but you can make change in your sphere of influence. You can be the best person you want to be. You can be the person you'd say. You can be that to, Ghosty. You can be that to the people in your house. You can be that to the people that you buy shit from at the store. You can be the change that you want to see.
It's funny that you mentioned that because we found a new favorite cashier at Walmart, and she's an older lady, and I was able to talk to her about global warming, and she says there's a serious problem, and I was like, someone from that age group who is actually willing to consider that something is going on?
Yeah.
Wow! I was honestly impressed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, that's my biggest suggestion to folks like us who get frustrated with stuff. I mean, we can't. One person is not probably going to have the effect that we want on the larger scale. No. However, if you can be on stream recording shit and talking intelligently with other people that you may have diverse opinions with, and you just like, fuck that, I don't care, I'm just going to hang out with you. Yeah. That's bigger change. We can, if, depending on how many people watch this thing, they watch it, they go, oh wait, those people just talked intelligently about stuff with each other without killing each other. I could do that too. And then maybe the change will spread.
Yeah, I mean, well, and that's the hope. I mean, that's the whole reason why I'm even, hey, that's the Ark of the Covenant. What's he doing?
That is pretty close to it, isn't it? Jeez.
Yeah. I want to be a better person on all fronts. And part of that is actively engaging others on complex issues that would normally piss people off.
Embrace the tension. People don't like it, but that's what you gotta do. You gotta embrace the tension between diverse ideas and thoughts.
If you don't, we're doomed. Like, I can't say that directly to a person's face, but I hope by my demeanor, like I had with that cashier, that we can talk intelligently about ideas. Maybe she'll go home and talk to her husband or her kids or someone else down the line and be like, I had an intelligent conversation about this. Which, by the way, I did go on to say refrigerators or air conditioners in the Antarctic and the Arctic. That's a huge step forward to trying to fix global warming. Because where are our biggest issues? Where people aren't living.
Yep. It's true.
And it's affecting everywhere else. So, simple fix. Really fucking simple fix.
Yeah.
It's engineering on a gigantic scale. We have the resources, we have the technology, we have the manpower. Why isn't it done? Nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares because it's way up north where nobody sees. That's that whole out of sight, out of mind.
Well, and it's funny to me because I think people want a warmer northern climate, but you go messing around with the climate even a few degrees, and it's going to make everything work differently, or not even at all.
Yeah, it'll kill the entire ecosystem if you mess with it a little bit too much. Like what's happening, it seems. I mean, the Earth's temperatures either evolved or designed to support life, and it's a very small margin in either direction. Too cold, a little bit too more cold, and we die. A little bit too more hot, we burn. Yeah. So it's the variables involved to create Earth. If it's evolved that way, it's an insane. Then we're probably the only planet because statistically, it could only happen once. I mean, the numbers are just so insanely large. Or maybe twice or three times in the vast expanses of space. So life is very rare and precious.
We may indeed be God's creation. A God's creation.
Yeah, some sort of intelligent being. I don't know.
Not the idea that we think of. For all we know, we could be an alien race's children. Like the Anunnaki. I know you're familiar with the Anunnaki.
Yeah.
They came from space and designed us from their DNA and monkey DNA? Was it ape? I'm not exactly sure, but they created us to mine gold to fix their atmosphere.
Yep. It's kind of like the Stargate show. I wonder if maybe they took that plot from that particular thing. I don't know. Or the Atlantis theories, which they also have that stuff. Or Rapa Nui, where they believe that all those moai heads
Mm-hmm.
on Easter Island, I believe but the actual name of the place is Rapa Nui. That's what the natives call it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll call it that. They believe that those heads are from alien folks that they happen to see and then deified and worshipped after that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of little legends, stories, maybe truth about something coming to this planet and influencing our creation and or evolution, our development. We'll just call it that, maybe even. So you figure there might be some sort of truth to it. If so many different cultures across the planet have interesting, similar ideas. Even the South Americans, I mean, a lot of their structures, those pyramidal shapes, South America, Egypt, Peru, how would each culture figure out that this, and have the idea to do it?
I don't know. There's pyramids in China that have nuclear material. I don't remember. I think it's mercury. And they've hidden them. They don't want people to go anywhere near them, and they're not going to open them up.
Yeah.
It's like we already know everything. The highest echelons of society and government are already completely aware, and there's a world beyond the world we're sitting in right now.
There's a hidden past.
Oh, guaranteed. And that hidden past is very much connected to the current situation.
Yeah, probably. It's like what is that? Not the intelligentsia. What is the Freemasons probably know the truth, or some of those secret societies. They probably hold a lot of the information that we all don't know, which sucks.
And the only way to get in those is to get into those groups. And almost guaranteed they're using governmental surveillance so they know who not to let in because they're greedy for secrets.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was actually invited in once when I was like 18, and had I known then what I know now, I would have definitely gotten involved. But yeah, it's weird. There's so much that we don't know. That's why it's like I always tell people, okay, you're saying that, but there's so much that you're not seeing, I'm sure. There's all this stuff under the surface. It's like you look at the iceberg, and you got this little part that's on top. And then if the Titanic found out, there's this huge mountain usually under the water that you don't see, and you can get stuck on, and you never even see it coming.
No.
So don't get distracted by the stuff above the water. It's like smoke and mirrors and fireworks trying to distract you.
And that's the frustrating thing, because then that leaves you with, what do you concentrate on? Do you concentrate on a little project and try and make the world better? Do you do like I do and plan for a space arc where people
do a little bit of both,
live indefinitely in space, because the future of humanity as a whole is lost.
It's definitely on that way, that's for sure. If we don't change stuff, something's gonna give. I mean, like when the economy broke down with all the housing stuff. I mean, that's a microcosm of a larger idea of, if you let things go to shit for too long, something will give. You can't just assume. It's like marriages. You can't just let it go on autopilot for too long, or else it just falls apart. So I think you're right. If things don't change in some way, shape, or form, since we hate change so much, it's just going to die out or explode or do whatever.
And that's why I'm so interested in a space arc. But I have to solve so many smaller problems in order for something like that to work, which I found that notepad, and I think I told you about that. I have solutions to some problems. I haven't designed a schematic. I haven't put A and B together. I haven't looked at certain things like adding in the ability to create bones and tissue and
which that's so cool. That's the shit. Obviously, I mean, to be able to print out a frickin' bone, that's definitely Star Trek stuff. It's like, there you go, have it. Awesome, it's a femur. Thank you for my femur.
See, I want it to get to the level where you're not just 3D printing the bone, you're actually 3D printing it in place with, say, nanomachines.
Yeah, that would be cool. Which is doable. I mean, you just got to program it, obviously, or you could just inject it, and then it would be programmed to go to the site, remove the old, and then rebuild the new.
Yeah.
That's definitely within our capability. It's just we have to concentrate on change and growth, and healing people
Yeah.
instead of tearing them down and destroying them and calling them names. I mean, it's like we're 4-year-olds at that level, 4 or 5-year-olds of you're an idiot, you're bad, you're dummy head. Except we use other bigger words, more expensive words to do it. We
Or
use
more expletive.
yeah, fucking this, you fucking that, you piece of shit this. It's like, okay, well, that's not productive.
No, not at all. Not in the slightest. And it's so very frustrating. I mean, like I said, there's only so much one person can do. You have to be the person to go out there and make that group of people that's willing to affect change in a positive manner, not through war, not through forcing people to believe your opinions and brainwashing them and that kind of thing.
Right,
That
exactly.
takes more work than arguing about it, though.
Yeah, it does. It does take more work. And compassion.
You have to have compassion for your fellow man to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to see your enemy, the person you think is your enemy, is your friend and do good towards them regardless of the fact that they're probably going to shit on you sometimes. And that is an extra human, high-end kind of behavior that not a lot of people do.
Well, it happens accidentally sometimes. Like, you got sick and we couldn't record, and I was like, he hates me.
Yeah, there you go.
Even though that's not the case, that's how the human psyche perceives things at times.
Yes, exactly. We've got our own hang-ups and stuff. Yeah, especially if we've been told in our lives that you're a piece of shit or you're not lovable, or I mean that like creates like a little tape in your mind. So every time somebody's not there or doesn't do something, that tape plays and it's like, this is why it's really happening to you now. It's like a little devil on your shoulder. That's why it's happening. You're not lovable. You're not this, that, the other thing. It's like, so you got to create this other creature to go, fuck you. I am too lovable. Shut up. That's not about that. Blah, 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 blah. You got to do a little mental different thing, like a Vulcan.
Well, and it's interesting that you use the Vulcan analogy because it's very much like our personality fits their profile more.
Mental disciplined.
The Vulcan and the Romulan situation is very much the human situation. We don't have the physical differences, but god damn.
Holy crap, we are getting annihilated. This is the third time, isn't it?
No, it's just the second, and we're just getting annihilated.
Holy hell. Apparently there's a difficulty spike in this game for this particular boss. So my tips and tricks would be level up at this point in the game when you guys play it. Son of a biatch.
And you know the sad thing? He's only got 2,000 HP. I just can't.
He's got high end.
Yes.
Are we supposed to die in this?
No, we had a game over last time.
That's right, you did. So, damn, son!
His holy chest attack is ruining us because it kills our damage. Well, it's the Ark of the Covenant. But
it really is. It's one of the designs that I've seen of it. But, jeez, why would he be using that?
You know, I don't know. He was talking about raising the old gods. He might be talking about raising the European gods. We fought the Japanese gods.
That's true. That's a good point. You're right. That's probably true. Maybe he's trying to raise the high god like Elohim or Brahman or something like that.
He's actually talking about Amon.
Ammon. Oh, okay. Yeah, Ammon, the god of Egypt. Yeah. Well, Ammon is the earth god of Egypt, and then Ammon-Ra is part
sun god.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's Ra Osiris. Ra was kind of split up into its personifications, a little bit like the Hindu gods, where Brahma is personified by the 1,000 gods, all aspects of the creative force called Brahma, and then Shiva, the destroyer, destroys that, and then there's a wonderful cycle that happens with that. Yeah, it's really cool. It's an interesting religion. Most of the religions are really, really cool. If you study them, there are really some interesting ideas going on.
I believe in the idea of reincarnation. I don't want to say I've lived before. I want to say that I perceive that I feel that I have.
Right.
That's not necessarily the truth.
Well, and if you had full perception of a past life, I think you would end up getting into almost a schizophrenic kind of situation where you'd be hearing voices and events from the past life in the present. I don't think our brains are necessarily designed to fit two concurrent realities at the same time and have perception of both.
No.
It would get really confusing. But, you know, sometimes it seems like that would be the case, where it's because I think a lot of, like, when I'm feeling intuition about a situation or something, it feels like, or like if you get that, what was that, deja vu, not the strip joint.
Presque vu, there's all those French. It's almost like you've experienced that situation before, but you can't have. When you have that intuition, it's like, why do I feel this way about this? I'm going to go with my intuition. And for me, more oftentimes than not, it's right. And it's scary. Because intuition shouldn't be right like that. It should be a flip of a coin, like everything else.
Yeah, that's that randomness, though, of the human condition. Because, I mean, especially the deja vu thing. I get that quite often. I was in a house once where we were doing a walkthrough for it, like, I think it was like a garage sale, and I got this weird deja vu kind of, holy crap, something bad's in this house, we gotta leave. So I told my wife. She actually believes me finally with those kinds of things, and we looked up the house, and there had been like a double murder in the place, in the room that we were in at that time. So I've learned over the years to really trust intuition and those kinds of things, because it's part of the brain that we don't.
It's
not
part
everybody
of the
uses.
soul. I don't think it's so much part of the brain. I think it's part of the soul. Because it's an electrical energy created by the brain that is measurably missing after death. Yeah. So clearly we can receive and send electronic signals. We just haven't learned how to control that yet. I've had a lot of situations like that. I don't know if I've talked to you about this before, but I had a really bad friend when I was living in Florida, and he wasn't really a friend. He was more like an abuser. He did a lot of terrible things. He got me a felony charge on my criminal record as a minor. Well, I was afraid he would kill me. Yeah. He wanted to get into some of my family's property, and it was either do what he said or get hurt.
Oh, frickin'.
And I knew that day, I woke up that day, and I was like, why do I feel like something's gonna go wrong?
Yeah. Intuition.
And I didn't listen to it. And it's had one of the biggest effects on my life.
Well, now you trust your intuition, I would assume.
Not all the time. Sometimes I think about it. Sometimes I test it. Because...
Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you gotta test it, or else, I mean, it could lead you wrong sometimes. Most of the time it probably doesn't, but, I mean, evaluating your intuition is not a bad thing. Because if you have the intuition to jump off something really high, it's probably not a good thing to do. I would almost guarantee you that, unless you have a parachute.
Yeah, I was gonna say that there's some situations where that's okay, but
Excuse me.
My intuition hasn't led me awry. Like recently, my intuition said, work on everything harder, and so far, I have gotten an excellent return on my input. So I've been hyped to continue that.
Yeah, working hard's not a bad thing.
No. It's, of course, I still have sleeping problems. I don't think I'll ever grow out of that because I was a small child and I stayed up very late. And as a teenager, I stayed up very late. I know that my sleeping pattern will never be normal. But what it does is I don't think so much when I'm laying there trying to sleep. I can actually meditate because my body's worn out. Or my brain is worn out to just that extent.
Right. Well, in meditation, if you're doing actual meditation, like they talk about, the deep breathing, the focusing stuff,
a mantra.
A mantra of some sort, you can get a very similar benefit to your rest as you would for sleeping. It's not going to be the same, but a very similar kind of thing. Because, I mean, the Buddhist monks, they will do a 40-day fast, and they will sit there and meditate for the 40 days, and they will live. No food, no water.
How can you do that?
Meditation. Power of the mind.
I can't even meditate for an hour.
I know.
Because I have to take
mental
breaks.
Discipline. Well, right now you lack that mental discipline of a Buddhist monk. That's okay. They do it for years. I mean, the Buddhist monks are chosen as children and are raised in the monasteries that they eventually serve in.
Mm-hmm.
Daisy, get out of here. And yeah, they learn mental discipline from a very young age. So,
Yep.
I mean, they create those neural connections from when they're 4 or 5, and they go through their entire lives. So,
This
crazy
stupid
stuff.
spell's gonna wreck me again. No death this time. I'm amazed. But yeah, it's like you say. I think I will be able to meditate like that someday. I'm never gonna fast for 40 days. I think that's...
No, I wouldn't advise it. Trust me. And I don't advise any viewers, by the way, to do that either. I am not a doctor or anything like that.
Now I might try and fast for a day, but even
Yeah.
that, recently I've been impressed with this. I've been able to get myself to actually feel hungry. Before I would just eat to eat, and I finally got a control over that. And I noticed immediately that when my stomach has problems, I'm not feeling it in my throat. It's this huge weight off my body, not just physically, but mentally. It's like, hey, I might be able to take care of this damn thing. Exactly.
Well, and if you ever do like a fast for a day or something like that, go online a little bit and just do some prep for it and have a purpose for it. I mean, you don't fast just for the fun of it, because it's not really that fun. But for mental clarity, if you're trying to figure out something, well, that's usually a lot of times when people will do it, is they're trying to do some sort of clarity or decision making. Sometimes you can do that, and you want to check with some doctors on it though too, to make sure you're able to, because not everybody is actually able to do that. Like a diabetic shouldn't fast.
No, amazing.
Not a good idea, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah, with 24 hours without food, blood sugars don't respond well to that.
No.
So, I mean, you don't have to do a food fast. You can do a fast from anything that is distracting to you or keeps you from having mental clarity. So if that's your iPad, do that for 24 hours and gain mental clarity.
In this instance, it's not about mental clarity. It's about losing weight. I don't want to use it as the whole weight loss mechanism. I want to use it to control my eating habits.
Ah, yes. That's disciplined. You got to get a dietitian.
No. If I'm going to do it, I got to do it by myself. It's going to help me reach other goals.
That's true. Do the research and make sure it's well balanced and you're getting everything you need. And there's no reason you can't meet that goal. It just takes doing it and then falling on your ass a couple times, and starting again. And that's usually the critical point. Doing it, you fall on your ass, and then at that point, don't quit. You just get up again and start again. Rather than doing what a lot of people do, is we do it, we fall on our ass, we shame ourselves, and say what a piece of shit we are for failing, and then we quit. You got to short circuit that, because no one's a piece of shit for failing.
No,
you're human for failing, and then you get up again as a human, and you get bipedal again here, and you walk again.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because that's the only way I beat the Magic Kingdom last night. I kept having problems. I'd do a little bit better, and I'd say, I need to stop doing what I'm doing and go do something else for a while. And then I would come back and do it again, and I might fail, but then there were times where I would do better, and I was like, I can see this being a thing. And little by little, I beat it. It was by willpower, not by game skill, not by intelligence. It was pure willpower.
Sheer willpower and determination.
Not even
Ganas, as they say in Espanol. Desire. Yes. That's good. I'm looking forward. You're going to upload that, correct?
Oh, yes. I don't know when I'm going to upload it, but the plan is it's going to go up on Sundays. I think I want it to be like a very early series, like 7 or 8 in the morning. I only swore like 3 or 4 times for the 2.5 hours, so I think it's a little more suited for children because it's a Disney thing anyway.
Yeah.
So I want to put it out early on a day when kids would be watching YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's sometimes a hard thing about some videos is, it's a great game, it's a fun game, and then no judgment, but then everybody's talking about this, that, and the other ballsack, penis licking, son of a butt hair, and it's funny. I'm not gonna lie, because I used to watch South Park and stuff like that, and at the same time, it's like I will never be able to watch that with my daughter. I can't watch it with my wife. Can't watch it with the headphones off. Can't watch it at work. So I watch it, in my secret place or something like that while I'm building.
Oh, and speaking of building, how is your board cube? I have to ask.
Oh, damn. I just cut up more plastic for another one of the sides, and I have to get my ass down to the basement and actually glue the pieces on. But I've got the whole cube's built, the plastics on the sides, one of the first layers of struts and interlacing plastic is done. So I have to make an update video at some point again. But yeah, it's coming along. I definitely have a design. I just have to execute it.
Right. Now, I knew that. Now, I'm glad to hear the update.
Yeah.
We have a serious problem.
What happened?
Well,
are we not recording?
We're recording. If you take a look at the screen.
Oh, hell no! That's a big freaking demon and we're almost dead.
Well, you haven't even heard all the problems. He's got 4,000 HP, 1. 2, we're dead, no matter what we do here. We will go insane if we heal, which we can heal, but then we lose all control of the battle. Damn. So we won't be able to heal again after that.
We may have to end this episode with a death, and you might... I don't know if leveling up is going to be the problem. Is there even a way to do that where we are in the game?
We're not getting much experience from the enemies we're fighting.
Damn.
Like, I'm going to have to do a grind session without you. That's just
the
way it's going to have to be.
Well, and check the walkthrough, because the walkthrough honestly does give us some tips and tricks on the best setups for each battle. Maybe we're doing something wrong. It's a possibility, I guess, which sucks.
Let's see here. If you're using a physical... Okay. Fuse Yuri and have Alice cast Holy Edge.
See?
Darkness class. Holy Elemental attacks. Special and magic. We should cast Holy Edge on Margaret. And it looks like our biggest problem are his 2 special attacks. I'm going to give this one more try with the strategy.
Okay.
But we may have to just start over. Well, start over.
Allocate our stuff and regroup.
I wish it was so simple. But we're pretty much on the end of the day's recording session anyway, so we've done our best.
That's true. We have done our best, and we did a pretty kick-ass job with talking and stuff.
I think so. I think this episode has been better for the commentary than it has for the gameplay, but that's
okay. It was never about the game anyways. I mean,
no.
Y'all can watch the game and y'all can read, and you can listen to us talk at the same time. Lots of people do that. So
this game is... The Caffeine Co-commentaries, even when we were doing Final Fantasy VIII, was more about the commentary than the gameplay. I just so happened to be really good at the game as well.
Right, exactly.
Which we have confirmed the next game. Have we talked about this in recording yet?
I think you were gonna do Darksiders. I think co-commentary. I think Stefan was going to be involved with that one. Was that the one you wanted to do, or
Final Fantasy VI is the one I want to do?
Final Fantasy VI is the one we want to do on here. Okay, sounds good to me.
And he's going to be involved with that as well. Of course, there's going to be Caffeine Co-commentaries where it's just you. I don't want to cut that out from under you because I know you enjoy this format. I
enjoy talking with any combination of folks. So whatever works, I don't care either way. just fun to, because I honestly during the week don't really talk to much people other than people I work with as a counselor, or my baby, or my wife. So those are the combinations. So I don't really talk to people that are just people, if that
Yeah.
makes
Yeah, no,
sense.
I understand.
I'm
Um,
neither married to you, I'm not trying to treat you, and I don't need to feed you.
yeah.
So that's a beautiful thing, just to be able to talk to somebody that's
hmm
just a normal person that doesn't go, "Oh, you're a counselor, you're going to analyze me." Because that's
You,
what most people do when they meet me. It's like, "Oh, you don't analyze me." It's like, "Are you paying me? Then I'm not analyzing you."
oh, come on. Don't lie to me. You already analyzed me.
No, I really don't. It's like that's the one thing that I don't know if all counselors are this way, but I don't. It takes a lot of mental work and discipline to analyze and try to figure out folks.
Yeah.
And I don't do it unless you pay me. And it's one of the boundaries I had to make as a person, because people used to come to me when I was 15, 16, 17, because I've been this way for my whole life of
hmm
being able to help folks. And people would come to me and suck me dry, basically, and not in a good way,
Oh, of
um,
course.
of taking my helpful energy,
hmm
and they would just take and not give anything back. So it was like, okay, about when I was in my 20s, I said, "Fuck this. Um, I'm not in it anymore. I'm putting up this boundary, and unless you give me something monetarily, I will not expend all of my energy for you. I'll help, obviously, in little
Right.
ways, but I'm not going to use my professional expertise unless you're paying me."
And that
Uh,
makes sense because you don't need to use your expertise to have
no,
a positive effect on a person's life.
right,
To be able to understand where they are psychologically. Like, in your
exactly,
case, I don't have to be a counselor. I don't have to be a psychologist. You're very well situated in your life, and it should be very obvious for anyone who interacts with you that your
right,
psychological structure is more intact than most other people.
right, right.
Don't need a
Well,
degree for that. I don't need to go to school for
right.
that.
Yeah, I mean, well, and if like you're talking about, I mean, if you've got that intuition thing, if you've got the intuitive thing going for you, you will notice that just on anybody. It's kind of like the aura system.
hmm
You can sense a person's, and I'll do the air quotes again for you guys because you can't see them, but you can sense a person's quote unquote aura or
hmm
energy if you're intuitive. And you can, I tend to see them in a colors kind of thing, not a physical seeing, but like I can sense if it's a person's a red aura or a
hmm
blue aura or a white aura or green or that variation. I think there's some real truth to that. So you can sense a person's health if
hmm
you use your intuition, if you're intuitive and sensitive to
Well,
it.
now I'm curious. You would have had to have read my aura by now. What color do you perceive me as? Because I've known that people perceive other people differently. It's not so much the person that's perceiving, it's
Hmm?
just the way that that energy interacts with other people.
Well, and usually I think for like you're usually like a blue green area.
Yes, that's very
Yeah,
correct.
yeah.
I would say I'm even obsessed with those colors in a particular combination.
Yeah, well, and most people that are intuitive, more the emotional intuitive kind of thing are the blue green
Mm-hmm.
areas.
Mm-hmm.
You get the hotheads, the judgmentals, those are yellow reds.
Mm-hmm.
You can sense them. They're usually very you walk into or they walk into your room or your space and you just go, "Oh, God." And you want to distance yourself.
I get that all the time when I go to places like Walmart. People, they don't
Yeah.
even look at me. I can
Mm,
just tell by the way they're interacting or lack of interacting with me.
yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that particular skill and or talent can be a pain in the ass and a burden because
Mm-hmm.
like I'll walk into like you're talking about I'll walk into a room full of people and instead of that being a positive experience I have to put up like almost like a shield system
Yeah. Yeah.
because their emotions and anxiety
Mm-hmm.
will come at me and it's like oh and they wonder why it's like why are you so introverted not talking or don't want to be with us it's like because you're too anxious and
Uh-huh.
I have to push that anxiety away from me
Yeah.
because there's just people that are like chihuahuas.
Oh yeah.
It's
Um,
chihuahua energy.
and
But
I have that problem all the time. And I hate it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I would say you're more of a white more often. I don't know. I almost see you as your energy is like the typical white mage kind of thing. You're not always like that, but that's a common...
That's true. Yeah, no, well, it's true because in Dark Souls, every time I play a Dark Souls game, there's a way that you can actually help others defeat bosses, and that's the one I gravitate towards, is helping others defeat evil.
Yep.
And that's usually what I'll play in RPGs as well, is just I'll level up and defeat evil, and that trope or storyline, I guess you'd call it, is something I repeat in my life. It's even in my career. I help others. I don't try to save them. I used to do that, but I do try to help them help themselves. So yeah, it's weird how that kind of like your energy conforms with, if you're in line with your energy, should conform with your life, and your life should kind of pass that energy on to others. It's like this kind of system that happens, which is very metaphysical and cool sounding stuff, but I think there's some truth to it.
And completely unprovable. But the thing is, we're energy beings. Part of us is the thing that makes stars. That has to have some sort of...
some luminosity to it.
I suppose that would be an accurate description. Maybe even apt?
Yeah,
But science doesn't deal with things that it can't measure.
Yeah, well, that's not what it's built for. Science, like you said, it's designed to describe the physical.
Yep.
And it doesn't have, at least right now, it doesn't have a particular language to describe the metaphysical. So all the subtext, basically.
Some of those pieces are there. I just don't feel like people have tried hard enough.
Well, I think you're right, because, I mean, unfortunately, there's still an opposition between the spiritual community, those that, do the ghost hunting, those kinds of things. Even some of the religious folks, some of them are kind of more open-minded on that kind of stuff, and we'll talk about the spiritual realities.
Oh, yeah.
And then the scientific world, there seems to be this idea that there's a separation between those ideas. But there is now a movement really to get into this more holistic, even in the medical field, in the counseling fields. We're talking a lot about the whole body, the whole spirit, and a holistic approach to counseling a person or bringing them into a healthier place, which I'm on the cusp of that, because I am a religious person and I'm a very scientific-minded person, and I like to bring both of those into a kind of a unity, if you will. And even in my counseling process, I will talk about all of their needs, whatever. And I took comparative religion, so I can bring any religious idea or spiritual idea into a scientific kind of conversation.
So you're literally evolving. You're part of the evolution of the psychological study, which is amazing, because it's completely necessary.
Definitely.
We're more than just what meets the eye, and a lot of people don't get that. But I guess that's because a lot of people don't want to be that. They just want to be the average every day, or whatever it is that they're seeking out in their life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's some benefit to it. Like, there's a payoff, and I always ask, what's the payoff? I mean, if you're all spiritual, then you are not accountable to the physical kind of things, and you can just be kind of la-la-la, not be responsible. But if you're all physical, then you're instinctual being, and there's no... Because spiritual is with the morality. We get morality from the spiritual area, or soul area. That's not the physical is an instinctual being. Yeah. It's the animal. It's the, I need food, I need to poop, I need to reproduce. That's the physical. And I need to be strong to do those things. So, yeah, you have to have both, or else you're not a complete person. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. I've been more in balance these last couple of weeks than I have been for most of my lifetime. And that's because I'm putting more into everything.
Yeah.
Because otherwise,
you still died, Steve.
Yeah, I'm not dead yet.
I'm not dead yet. And that's great. Yeah.
Another one of our problems is we don't have any resurrection items, and it's really holding us back. But if I didn't put more into everything, I would just have all this energy sitting inside me that's wasting away, that neither my soul or my physical body can use.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with if you don't use creative energy, it bounces around like a freaking BB
It will
inside
tear
you and
you
makes
apart.
holes. Yeah, yeah. Game over. Damn it.
Speaking of being torn apart,
It's game over, guys. Thanks for joining us, though. I think we have to end because
Yeah.
it's like hour and 20 minutes or so mark, I think.
hour 41. We definitely did more than we planned.
That's okay. It was
We just
fun.
don't have the pieces right now. Early in the game, we had all the pieces we need. And right now, I'm just trying to skate by. So before next episode, I'm going to put all the pieces back together because we had a Rubik's Cube. And it kind of got blasted apart by some of the bosses we fought in the last few episodes.
The Ark of the Covenant just kicked our ass.
3 times in a row, man. Anyways, this has been the Caffeine Co-commentaries of Shadow Hearts. Thank you for joining me, Blind Man's World. It is always a pleasure.
Yeah, it was tons of fun. Thanks, guys. Thanks for everybody that's watching, and feel free to comment and put in your 2 cents on what we've talked about. So
any of the things.
Yeah.
You can tell us we're rambling crazy people. Just as long as you can accept our idea and not just feel the words that you say.
Yeah, exactly. What he said.
We will see you next time for less dying.
Bye now.